Mr. Anchia, for what purpose?
Will the gentleman yield for questions, please?
I will yield.
He yields.
Some questions.
So, Mr. Schaefer, I'm trying to understand your amendment. The way I read it, it removes the exception to the 20-week ban on abortion for cases where there's a severe fetal abnormality. Is that correct?
It only applies for late-term abortions.
And but in your amendment, I believe, do you define after 20 weeks as late term?
I do.
Okay, so in your intent in the amendment is to say anything after 20 weeks is late term. So is also your belief that second trimester is late term, correct?
It's after 20 weeks.
Do you understand the term second trimester?
I do.
How do you define that?
Well, that's after you've had, in the 9 months pregnancy, you've been 6 months in. You get past the.
What range is the second trimester?
Excuse me?
What range is the second trimester?
It's going to be from the 4th month to the 6th month, right?
Okay. So in the second trimester, during which trimester are most fetal abnormalities detected? First, or second, or third?
Most are actually, as I understand it, diagnosed early in a pregnancy.
So I believe it's the second trimester, in fact, where most fetal abnormalities are detected because of the development of the fetus.
I don't know that that's accurate. Actually,
I believe it is.
I've actually.
It is absolutely accurate.
I can quote a.
Yeah.
I've seen some facts that talk about most are usually diagnosed by 10 to 12 weeks.
The tests that are available usually are applied during the second trimester. So what examples? Give me some examples of fetal abnormalities that you are removing or seeking to remove from the current exception.
You can imagine. I would think an abortion doctor might believe that Down syndrome is a fetal abnormality that's severe.
Well, that's in fact not permitted under current law. What examples do you have? What types of fetal abnormalities are you seeking to exempt from the current law?
What I'm seeking to do is say that a baby, regardless of age, created in the image of God, that their life is sacred at every stage, whether they're sick or whether they're healthy.
So in terms of severe abnormalities, which was my question, I'm gonna ask you about some, and you tell me if you think that they should be part or not of the exemption. So a severe brain malformation where parts of the brain are severely underdeveloped or not developed at all, does that fall within your, do you consider that not worthy of the exemption?
Each one of these maladies that you might list is going to be determined by medical professions.
So anencephaly, where there's an absence of a major portion of the brain, the portion responsible for cognition, missing skull and scalp, would that be, do you believe that is a severe fetal abnormality?
I know that I've talked to doctors who told me that they get it wrong a lot of times. Now, sometimes they're right. I'm sure they are in their reasonable medical judgment.
How about thanaphoric dysplasia? How about, that's a Greek term for death-bearing. It's when there's a severe and lethal skeletal disorder. You don't believe that it's after 20 weeks that should be part of the exception?
What I believe is that a person, no matter how sick, and no matter what age, and no matter where they're located, whether in their mother or outside their mother, they are protected from an intentional killing.
What about stillborn? The child is dead.
That's not an abortion.
Okay, you don't.
That's not part of this
even
bill.
after 20 weeks, stillborn.
That's not contemplated into this. A baby that's stillborn. This only deals with a baby that has a beating heart.
So major heart defects, as long as the heart is beating, is fine. If there are major birth defects where a physician...
Well, let me ask you, Mr. Anchia, if the baby was 1 or 2 days old, what defects are you okay with the baby being killed?
So I'm going to ask you, since this is your amendment and I'm trying to glean your intent, if the baby has, or if the fetus has major heart defects and will not, in the judgment of the physician, will not live, that is, your amendment would require the woman to carry that child to or the fetus to term. Is that
My
correct?
amendment would follow the same medical advice that many of the doctors in my community would give, which is to say that we don't kill a baby because it's sick.
Does the fetal abnormality exception apply to any conditions which are not life-threatening or incompatible with life? The current fetal abnormality exception?
The current law deals with severe fetal abnormalities.
But, so I'll ask it again.
Or any
Does
fetal
the fetal abnormality exception apply to conditions which are not life-threatening or incompatible with life currently?
It's the amendment says,
No, not the amendment. Current law.
I don't know under current, I don't
So the
believe in the
answer is
current law.
no, in
This
case you
says
didn't
a
know.
fetal abnormality, or including a severe fetal abnormality.
Right. So the current exception related to fetal abnormality says that it is life-threatening and incompatible with life. Did you know that once a severe fetal abnormality is detected, that the diagnosis must be confirmed by a medical specialist? Are you aware of that under the current law?
I'm not even, I'll take your word for that.
Okay. In your view, why should women give birth to a medically unviable pregnancy?
Because
what is your rationale?
Because it's a person created in the image of God.
Okay.
And that image bearer continues to bear the image of God, whether they're 1 day old, whether they're 90 years old, whether they're 20 years old, or they're 20 weeks old. And it applies whether they're sick or whether they're healthy.
In 2015, how many pregnancy terminations were performed after 20 weeks? Do you know?
I'm not advised.
So I'll tell you, there were 76, which is 0.13% according to DSHS. And in your view, those 76, as concluded by the woman, her doctor, her faith advisor, you think that is an insufficient decision-making process, and that women should be forced to bring an unviable pregnancy fully to term. Is that correct?
I believe that preborn person deserves the protection of law.
Even if it's unviable, correct?
I believe that every person, no matter how sick, no matter what their prognosis is, that we should not have the authority as a state of Texas to give any doctor the ability to intentionally kill that person.
So is an unviable pregnancy a person?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Turner, for what purpose?